Are you listening?
This week's episode, I want to talk to you about Apple. But it's the battle between Epic Games and Apple over Apple's 30% cut on all iOS store purchases, which has resulted in Apple banning Fortnite from the iOS store. And the second battle is the war that the platform finds themselves in the midst of with cloud gaming platforms like Google Stadia and Microsoft's Project Xcloud. Now, for the sake of time, I really want to dive into that second battle because cloud gaming is quite possible.
Welcome to the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode. Episode 168 to be precise. And somehow after 168 episodes, we have yet to be canceled, and hopefully that doesn't happen this week. But anyway, a lot has happened since we've last spoke. PlayStation showed off the PlayStation 5 user interface. GameStop and Microsoft have announced a revenue share program for digital Xbox games. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has gone gold, and Apple unveiled brand new information about the upcoming iPhone 12. But despite all of that, for this week's episode, I want to talk with you about Google Stadia, because we are nearly 30 days away from the platform's 1-year anniversary. And despite a rocky launch for the platform, Google has committed to improving the service and now finds itself with a fairly impressive offering. In fact, Stadia's library has grown from 27 games available at launch to a current available library of 92 games. And if you were a Stadia founder since the launch of Google Stadia, your Stadia Pro library currently consists of 46 games with an overall market value of $1,200. However, for some people, all of this means nothing, because in their eyes, well, Google Stadia is dead. I mean, we've all seen the tweets, YouTube videos, articles, all predicting the impending doom of Google Stadia. And nearly 1 year later, they are all wrong. And to borrow a phrase from Sir Elton John, Google Stadia is still standing. And what I find so egregious from all of this is major publications, major influencers, and major news outlets have done nothing but consistently sign a death warrant for Google Stadia. And the sad reality is, if they would have taken all of that effort and instead look at what Stadia has been doing, well, you would see that the platform is very much alive. For example, let's look at the last 90 days for Google Stadia. Stadia added 17 free games to their Stadia Pro library, which, in comparison, exceeds both PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold's offering for that time period. In fact, the amount of games offered with your Stadia Pro membership is nearly the same amount of games that both Xbox and PlayStation offered combined during that exact same time period. On top of that, during the last 90 days, Stadia also introduced new features like crowd play, tandem mode, crowd choice. They unveiled their first group of graduates from the Stadia Makers program. Stadia now offers 4G and 5G support for mobile players, and Google announced over 25 games coming to the platform. And I point all of this out because for some reason, a large majority of gamers think that Stadia is dying. In fact, just yesterday, Inside Gaming took Google's comment that they are in gaming for the long haul, and somehow turned it against them by stating, of course they aren't going to tell us if Stadia is dying. Which, let's hit that pause button real quick. Inside Gaming, bring it in. I understand that admitting that you've been wrong for the last 12 months is a extremely difficult thing to do, but your unprofessional desire to see a gaming platform fail is quickly becoming like a scene from Monty Python.
Bring out your dead. Here's one. Ninepence.
I'm not dead.
What?
Nothing. Here's your ninepence. I'm not dead.
Here. He says he's not dead.
Yes, he is. I'm not.
He isn't.
Well, he will be soon. He's very ill.
And look, if you don't like Google Stadia, that's fine. I'm not standing here stating that every single person needs to love Stadia, and if you don't, well, then you're oh man, how did Inside Gaming put it?
A big, smelly, poopy duty fest.
But what I am saying is don't paint yourself as a journalist or a news source if you're not willing to report on the news. Because the fact is, I am sure that if you raised any of the announcements that I listed from Google Stadia in the last 90 days and asked any of these major publications to tell you what that was, chances are they would have no clue. Because places like IGN, Inside Gaming, or influencers like Young Ye, they only cover Stadia when there is blood in the water. And I'll be the first to admit that in today's clickbait world, negativity sells. You know, people love to slow down and check out a car crash. But the other side of this, in my opinion, comes down to laziness. I mean, these stories aren't hard to find. In fact, many of them are published by Google Stadia themselves. But because these articles aren't on the front page of Reddit, causing countless numbers of upvotes, today's gaming journalists just pass right over them. And look, if you're someone who doesn't follow Google Stadia, and you think that I'm just a fanboy trying to push the Google narrative, or that I'm trying to create an us versus them angle, I would say put aside the past 90 days and just look at the last week. Ask yourself, did IGN, Inside Gaming, or Young Ye cover Pac-Man coming to Stadia, the Uplay Plus homepage appearing on the Stadia Store, Cyberpunk 2077 coming day and date to Google Stadia, Stadia users receiving cross-progression with PC players on Dead by Daylight, Google announcing 14 Ubisoft games that will be coming to Stadia, or Stadia unveiling 3 days of announcements, reveals, and platform-exclusive demos that will be taking place next week. And sure, I will give the benefit of doubt and say that some of those stories might have been covered by major publications. Except for, well, IGN. In fact, when you search Stadia on IGN, the last article to be written about Google Stadia was from September 29th, nearly 19 days ago, when an article titled "Which Game Subscription Service is Right for You" was written. And before that, the last Google Stadia-focused article was from June 18th. Whereas if you were to search PlayStation on the very same website, they have nearly 5 PlayStation-focused articles coming out every single day. And look, I'm not saying that you need to cover Stadia at the same amount as you cover PlayStation, because clearly there is a bigger audience for PlayStation news. But what I am asking is, how does a one-person show like the Nerf Report that is filmed in my garage, literally there is an oil stain right here, how do I do a better job at reporting Stadia news than a 250 employee news agency like IGN? And the reason that I bring this up is because companies like IGN or Inside Gaming have a responsibility to their audience to report the news. But instead, they choose to only cover the news that they deem fitting for their audience, and ignore actual good and positive stories. Let's be clear, if you are willing to cherry pick news stories, how can your audience trust anything that you say? Because the fact is, this Stadia is dead narrative definitely is not born from Google Stadia. It's born from media outlets who want to only cover the negative news. Like, imagine if we, as a channel, decided to only cover the bad news surrounding the PlayStation 5. And week after week, PlayStation is going to fail. PlayStation is going out of business. PlayStation doesn't know what the hell they are doing. what kind of narrative does that create among those watching? And this is where journalists love to use that bullshit quote of, well, the audience should really do their own research and not take our word for it. Which is absolutely absurd, because if I watch a video of someone having a negative experience placing their hand over a fire, yeah, I don't need any more research. I'm not going to put my hand in a fire. And the fact is, as a gaming journalist, your words have immense power. Your voice has influence. The audience is coming to you in hopes that you do all the research and make up an opinion so they don't have to. Which is why I receive so many tweets or comments stating that Stadia is dead. Because according to IGN, the service hasn't done anything of note since June 18th. Which, just to give a little more information, since June 18th, I've been able to post 56 different videos that discuss Google Stadia news or announcements. In return, IGN has posted 2 articles. And if we're basing everything off, well, IGN's metrics, sure, Stadia must be dying. And going back to channels like Inside Gaming, they as a channel have graced us with such videos like, Stadia fans are revolting, finally. Stadia players have had enough. Stadia's losing its player base. Is Stadia really that bad? Stadia takes another hit. Stadia just got even worse. And devs don't trust Stadia. First off, guys, who hurt you? And second, half of these videos are based off of random users or players writing something negative about the platform on Reddit. And if that is the standard of journalism in 2020, well, great. I can't wait to take any 1-star review off of Amazon and turn it into a major expose. Maybe PlayStation is shipping defective products because Alyssa's PlayStation 4 hard drive crashed and lost over 20 hours of gaming. PlayStation is shipping defective products? Question mark, question mark, question mark? Like, let's forget the death of Stadia. The only thing that seems to be dying right now is journalism. And look, maybe I'm being dramatic, but the fact is these major outlets have real influence. And the fact that week in and week out, they do nothing but ignore or belittle Stadia's progress for their massive audiences. And meanwhile, you have smaller creators like StadiaCast, Gem, Sunny Cloud Gaming, Generation Stadia, or even Stadia Source, all doing a much better job, yet they're only getting a fraction of that audience. So I guess where I want to leave this hot dumpster fire of an episode at is, if you're like me and you're tired of negativity, biases, or even just blatant lies, support smaller creators. In fact, please check out the description of this video. I've included a list of some great channels to watch, people that are putting out some fantastic content and definitely deserve your support. And that, of course, is going to wrap up this week's episode of the Nerf Report. Until next week, Hi. Can I help you? Hey, look, man, I don't want any trouble. I need you just to kind of back up a little bit. What do you got there? Hey, back up. No. You don't need to put that up. Hey, come on. Put that down, man. Put that down. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. Are you like the thousands of people in the comment section down below wondering why does this channel have so little subscribers? Well, you can fix that today by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, commenting, and sharing it with your friends, which I know sounds like a lot, but I feel like our channel is worth it.